All right, here we go. Section 16. Hope you guys got most of this done in class. I will tell you, it is, in some ways, the most convoluted, warped thinking, and it is fractured. And I think I remember reading, and I cannot find the text where I read it, where this was not originally in Cicero's oration. It was sort of an add-on later on, like Cicero thought to just sort of shoehorn it in. And that fits because this, as far as arguments goes, doesn't flow nearly as nicely as some of Cicero's others. Um, So we start up here, right, with the quod hodskio. And the quote here is just a connecting, not a connecting, it's adverbial, I think is a better way to say it. And that actually is, I know a lot of you are using dictionaries. I have encouraged you guys to use, what in the name of sweet Mary? Sorry, my computer's having conniption. I've encouraged you guys to use this book, the Pro Caelio, before. I have a couple of them in class. They do have some great notes in them. You do kind of have to hunt for it. But the notes in the books, and you guys just, I feel like, gave up on them too quickly sometimes. Hold on, here we go. Um, because notice here it says, quote, adverbial in this connection. Okay. To know tells you it's a fourth conjugation verb. I'm inclined to think, or I almost know, or I almost think. So it's actually telling you how to do some of the tricky bits here. Um, it tells you what the general meaning of companion and friend, but tells you also that specifically, as far as what Cicero is suggesting, a sodalitum is a society organized for political bribery. Remember, we talked before about the very specificity of these different accusations. So you have the taking a bribe, giving a bribe, organizing a group of people to make bribes, and then you have this one, the third party acting as a depositary or escrow agent, the middleman. Okay, so it's like I won't bribe Tabby. I'll give the money to Ella, and Ella will give it to Tabby. So I'm not actually bribing Tabby because I didn't give her the money myself. Ella gave her the money. I gave the money to Ella. So they made it all illegal. But that's sort of where this comes in very, very handy because the basic definition isn't going to give you the depth of knowledge that some of these do. So as we move on, especially with 30 and 30, I'm gonna just check that out. My computer's having a moment. I would strongly encourage you guys to start using these books to your advantage. Now, of course, you're still going to need a dictionary too, but you kind of have to work hand in hand here, okay? Um, so this one I just said it was like in this connection. Let me see this in this connection. All right. Did this thing just move on its own? Okay, I'm apparently I need a nap. I scarcely know. I hardly know. Hardly know whether oh God. We can just say if whether Whether, right? Whether. And you kind of need to insert a cream in here. Okay. Oh, forgot cream in. Okay, sorry, misspelled that. But you got it. The accusation. I hardly know whether the accusation of bribery. Now, I also said before what Cicero was talking about, this accusation of bribery is a complete non sequitur. We'd been talking about his friendship with Catiline. The bribery accusation was tangential and actually had absolutely no place in this whole like disturbing the peace thing. Remember, the crimes that Achilles was being accused of were upsetting the peace, attempted murder, assassination of a public figure, and the attempted murder of Clodia. I don't think that anywhere in there was bribery. Now, at some point, Clodia is going to suggest that she lent him money and he didn't give it back, but that's not the same as bribery, obviously. So I think there are some historians that kind of scratch their heads over this whole section and are like, I have no idea what the heck he's talking about. So um, I hardly know whether the accusation of bribery and um, of that crime. Okay, so I should say of that istus again, we have that pejorative criminibus, more accusation than crime because he hasn't been, nothing has been determined. Okay, whether the accusation of bribery and the accusation of, oh, let me do that because I forgot the istus, and that accusation, remember that's pejorative, of um so that one is the group bribe of the group bribery, and the middleman, whoops, middleman bribery. Okay, so that's the first line. So here you go. In this connection, like we're connecting from 15. I hardly know whether the accusation about bribery or I'm sorry, and about that accusation of political party bribery and middleman bribery. Um, and it's almost like he doesn't quite follow up on this because then he goes, since I have happened upon this. It didn't happen upon it. It hasn't happened at all. Sorry. I almost feel like I'm arguing with a 2,000-year-old dead man. Okay, since I have happened here, like week in this place, um, I think that I should respond similarly. Similarly. We'll go with it. Okay, so this again doesn't make a lot of sense. So from the beginning, it is in this connection. I hardly know whether this accusation of bribery and of that accusation of political palling and middleman, since I have fallen here, I think that I should respond similarly. To me, this doesn't make a whole lot of sense because I feel like he never finished the first sentence. But basically, what he's saying is like, I don't even know if I should bring in this accusation of bribery, but since I'm here, I'm going to respond similarly. And the idea is that he's like, this charge should be laid against or tossed aside, just like all the other charges have, because there's no proof, right? Um, Nor indeed, okay. Notice this word omens. It means raging, angry. We've seen it a lot. It's why it's bolded. It's one of those vocab words that I keep bringing up because it does show up a lot. It means out of your mind, insane. Like you're just like, you see red, okay? Numquam here just means nor. Nor indeed. Nor indeed. All right, fuisit. Was Caelius Tom so insane? Caelius. So insane. Oot. That. Okay. That. If, say, if cum culaset, if he had defiled, say, himself, isto, with that unlimited ambition or bribery, if he had, I love that word, defiled. It's such a, I don't know, it's such a strong word. If he had defiled himself with that infinite, infinite bribery, like almost ambition. So he's like, nor was Kylie so completely insane that if he had wanted to defile himself by taking a bribe or giving a bribe, I guess it doesn't necessarily, it just says bribery. So if he had wanted to defile himself with that, okay, he would have accused another of that bribery. All right. Nor would he have sought the suspicion of this deed in another. Okay, nor, neque, nor would, notice all these subjunctives, these are all in the subjunctive, nor would he have sought the suspicion of this deed in another. He sought the suspicion of this deed in another. Okay. Quies here is interesting. It's a relative clause, okay? But this quies actually is going back to the suspicione. Okay. Of which he himself, my dog just lost his crap on something. Okay, sorry. Of which, sorry, quiz, of which he himself was hoping for an eternal, like an everlasting freedom for himself, like to do. So I'm saying the sentence, in some ways, this doesn't make sense. So let me write it down and let's go over it. Okay. Let's see. In another, of which, I guess I could put deed. It's not there. Of which deed he himself, let's see if say, would want and perpetuum, an eternal, like freedom. Yeah, freedom for himself. Oops. Let's try that again. Freedom for himself. All right, so what's he saying here? It's like, nor indeed was Caelius ever so crazy that if he had sought, if he had defiled, if he had defiled himself with that infinite ambition, that he would have accused another of that ambition. Okay, so what's Cicero saying? Cicero is saying that Caelius would never have accused someone else of a crime that he had wanted to commit, right? Okay, nor, okay, would he have sought, let's see if I can get this to lock in, nor would he have sought that suspicion of this deed in another, of which he himself was hoping sort of an eternal ability for himself to commit. This is Cicero basically saying that I would not, like, he would never accuse someone of a crime that he himself wanted to commit. So obviously, no lawyer has ever committed a crime, or at least never committed a crime that they've accused someone else of doing. The whole thing is kind of weak, and I don't know. It's very odd. Okay. Nor, okay, so now we're here. We're at the neck. It's another nor. Nor if he thought. Now, this periculum ambitius sub eundum actually is a political phrase, not a political phrase. It's a, I don't want to say it's a Roman phrase that basically to face prosecution for bribery. So this from the periculum ambitius subiendum literally means facing the danger of bribery, like facing the accusation or prosecution. Periculum here probably meaning more prosecution than danger for bribery. So nor if he thought that, nor if he thought that Sibi, this fact that it's in the dative is making me kind of crazy, but that he himself, okay, was in danger. Oh, no. Was at this, what was I saying? What did I say? Was facing, or I guess could would be better. Nor if he thought that he himself could, face prosecution of bribery at the same time. That's just semel. Okay. All right. Nor if he had thought that he might face this accusation of bribery at the same time, would he himself Okay, do you see this? Again, I'm using would a lot because these are all in the subjunctive. Would he himself, ipse, have accused another again of with the crime of bribery? Sorry, I keep wanting to say. At the same time, um, would he have accused another again of no, sorry, with the accusation of bribery. Right, again, this whole thing is very, very, very convoluted. All right. So he's again hitting up this idea that Caelius would never, if he had thought, okay, so not only would he not have brought charges against someone if he'd wanted to commit bribery, but if he thought that he was in danger of facing charges of bribery, he would still not have brought up another again with the charge of bribery. So apparently Caelius charged or brought, I don't know how many people in for bribery charges. We know that Caelius was, of course, uh, in several different prosecutions and was a fairly successful lawyer without Cicero in his own right. In fact, I think you guys know at one point he did face Cicero and beat Cicero. So Caelius himself was a respected lawyer, and he must have brought several people in against charges of bribery. I don't think I haven't been able to find out, and according even to the book, they're not really certain which particular trial we're talking about here. Um, Not even sure. Okay. But it's one of the ones that Cicero told him not to do. And Cicero told him not to do a couple of different charges and a couple of different trials. And like most teenagers, eventually they ignore the older, wiser, or louder person in charge and go off and do their own thing anyway. Okay. Because, okay, Cicero's bringing it home, quote, because although, quote, quote, because although, okay, pocket, he made this not wisely. He did this. Again, Caelius brought these charges of bribery against someone. He did this nec sapienter, not wisely, and with me unwilling. Okay. Me and Witzia, like literally with me unwilling. However, that's the Tommen. Throw it in wherever you want. However, all right, he is est cupiditas, most desirous, or he is desirous of this kind. He is desirous. I don't even know. That's terrible. Just take it. Don't say anything. Of this kind. In this case, like we would almost say he desires of this way that he would seem. Okay, I think I told you guys that it was imperfect, that it would seem, but really I looked at this and it would be he would seem. And then what was messing me up in class is that I completely forgot this was deponent. So I was trying to make it passive. It was not working. And I was like, why isn't this working? And I looked at it, I'm like, oh, it's because it's deponent. So it looks passive, but it's really active. So I apologize because I think I messed a couple of you up on that. That he would seem um more to attack the innocence of another, that he would seem, and it would almost be like more likely to attack the innocence sense of another, okay, of Alterius, okay, because although he did this thing, whatever it is, not wisely with me unwilling, however, he is desirous of this kind, that he would seem more to attack the innocence of another rather than, okay, this is a relative, sorry, it's a comparative, which is why we have the quam, rather than to think about himself in fear. So let me finish that last. All right, here we go. Quam, rather than to think about himself in fear. All right. So what is he saying here at the end? He's sort of bringing it home because although he did this, and again, Cicero is referencing very clearly, it must have been a very specific instance where Caelius had brought accusations of bribery against someone. I can only assume it's one of the people in the courtroom. All of them, I'm sure, at some point had been accused of bribery. Um, they're politicians, right? So, whatever this trial was that Cicero said he didn't do it wisely with me unwilling, it seemed to prove, or Cicero was stating, that because Caelius had brought charges against someone else for bribery, he himself, i.e., Caelius, could never commit bribery. Because if you're going to make those charges against someone else, you wouldn't do it yourself. Again, this is kind of a weird argument. All right. It's like saying, oh, anyway, I'm not even going to go into it, but yeah, you would never accuse, I suppose in student terms, being cheating. You would never accuse one of your comrades of cheating and bring it up if you yourself were going to cheat, right? You wouldn't want people looking for people who cheat if you were going to cheat. Does that, I don't know if that makes sense, right? Like you don't want to clue in the admin on different ways that students are maybe bending the rules or getting around the rules. No, it's sort of what Cicero is saying. Anyway, it's a big old mess, but that's 16. And that does sort of wrap up this section of well, it does. It's 16's the last one of the Catalonian conspiracy. Okay. With this rather random section about bribery, tons of subjunctives. All of these are imperfect subjunctive. So there's just a ton of imperfect subjunctives in here, present subjunctives in, except for the schia and the in kitty. Okay, at the beginning, everything else in here is subjunctive, subjunctive. I feel like I should go through subjunctives again. All right, there you go. That's the video. I'll see you tomorrow.